Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Kathleen, and I'm the Program Officer for Pony Club Victoria. My role is to support the educational programs for coaches, riders, and officials. And I'm excited to bring to our members a fantastic webinar with thanks to Racing Victoria's Off the Track program. We would like you to all stay tuned to the end if you can. There will be opportunity to ask some questions. And if you are lucky enough, we do have a lucky door prize, which is a fantastic prize pack from Off the Track, which is up for grabs. So hopefully you're the lucky person to win that tonight, because it has some really great Off the Track merch there. We will move along. So tonight we are fortunate enough to have our wonderful host here, Louise Aby. And Louise has an extensive list of credentials. So we're really, really lucky to have Lou here tonight. Louise has a passion for providing care, patience, and training to thoroughbreds and ensuring that they have the best chance of a successful outcome post-racing. Louise manages Aby Performance Horses, which specialises in retraining thoroughbreds for performance sports, as well as offering services to assist in the transition to life after racing. Louise has a long list of credentials, which include in 2021, she was the winner of Racing Victoria's Reset Achievement Award and also a finalist in the same year in the Acknowledged Retrainer category. In 2022, she again was a finalist for the Off the Track Retrainer of the Year, and in 2023 became the winner. She also this year won the prestigious Godolphin Award for Excellence in Equine Welfare. Lou grew up riding alongside her sister, and they were members of the Riddles Creek Pony Club. Lou represented Pony Club in 6 teams in Prince Philip Games and also competed at a state level in show jumping and dressage. She has a broad range of experience, including working with racehorses. So I think we're really lucky to have you here tonight, Lou, and we can't wait to hear more about owning an off-the-track horse.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction. Well, it's really great to be here with everyone today, and hopefully I can share some of my experience and knowledge and things that I've learned along the way with thoroughbreds and how they can look to be pony club mounts. So to give a bit of a run through of what I'll go through, I'll discuss a little bit about the Pony Club Victoria and the Racing Victoria partnership. And I'll talk a bit about the off-the-track community and some of the programs that Racing Vic has. Then I'm going to speak a bit about the methods that we have and our proven methods that we use with each horse that comes to us, and how we assess them. And that includes the spelling and all of the assessment and the research and what we do to get to the point where when the horse is looking to match up with a new rider, and then that process also. So hopefully this will assist to provide some strategies and some insight into how to set yourself up for success, I guess. Not every off-the-track thoroughbred is going to suit every pony club mount. So it's a big job to try to sift through and work out the ones that suit certain riders, because there's a big range of pony club riders, as well as there's a big range of off-the-track horses. So every weekend, pony club members across Victoria are getting out and about with their horses and ponies and attending rallies and competitions. So the Pony Club Victoria membership tells us that the thoroughbred's really popular at Pony Club at the moment, and currently there's more thoroughbred horses than any other breed, which is pretty cool. So Pony Club Vic has enjoyed a strong partnership with Racing Victoria's off-the-track program for quite a few years now. Off-the-track sponsor club events and zone events such as straight qualifiers, and also tetrathlon, dressage, show jumping, horse trials, and the games flat and musical state championship events. So zones and pony clubs can apply for off-the-track sponsorship via the Pony Club website, and there's a dedicated off-the-track page. And I think on the website, the Pony Club website, there's also a calendar which has all the events listed that are supported by Off the Track. So over the years, we've seen pony club riders and thoroughbreds doing wonderful things in lots of different equestrian pursuits. A really great example, and might be showing my age a little bit here, but when I was 15, I think it was, Wendy Schaefer and her pony club mount, who was an off-the-track thoroughbred called Sunburst, and they competed at the Atlanta Olympics in 1996, where the team won gold. So Wendy had taken that thoroughbred through from Pony Club Grade 4 all the way to the Olympics. A more current example is Sophia Hill, who was Sophia Landy. She went through Pony Club, and recently she placed third at the Adelaide 5-star on Humble Glory. And I think he was just a thoroughbred that was dropped off in a stock crate from a friend, and she was going to retrain and rehome him and ended up keeping him. So I think the thoroughbred has a lot to offer, and it also it gives kids the chance that don't have the funds to buy the really expensive horse, the possibility to dream big, which you know, we're pretty lucky. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the off-the-track community. Now, Kathleen, are you doing the slides? Yeah, you are. Good. So we encourage anyone that has an off-the-track to join the off-the-track community. It's available for anyone that owns a thoroughbred, and also for anyone looking to purchase a thoroughbred, as well as fans and connections and anyone that wants to follow a horse's journey. So on the off-the-track platform, when you become part of the community, you can claim your horse and claim ownership, and you can also register emergency contacts and learn about the different pathways. But a really big thing that it's so important is that you're playing your part to improve the visibility as well as the traceability of thoroughbreds that exit the industry, because the more information that's gathered and put together, and understanding what works and what isn't working, the better it is for everyone, for the racing industry and for the horses and for the riders looking for the horses and all of that kind of thing. So on the off-the-track community, you can see where all the off-the-track sponsored events are and the competitions and clinics. There's also the network of Racing Victoria's acknowledged retrainers. I think there's about 40 in Victoria, and some of them operate on quite a large scale, and some of them are smaller. You know, they've all different types of business models, and different retrainers specialise in different areas. But we really recommend, if you're looking to get an off-the-track thoroughbred, get on. There's a map, I think, and it shows where all the retrainers are, and get in touch so you can discuss with the retrainer what you're looking for and what your hopes are, the capability of the rider, and then they can have a discussion about potentially matching up with any horses that could suit. The other program, there's the Full Circle program, which means that absolutely anyone can register themselves like as an emergency contact for any horse that's registered on the community. And it's a great way of just making sure the horse always has an option if they ever need further assistance. Sort of like your emergency contact and when your kids go on school excursions and things like that. But another program that Racing Vic has had going for a few years now, and I've had a lot to do with, is the Reset program. This provides direct support for horses that are sound and have good prospects but haven't been successful transitioning into a career outside of racing. So at our place, we've had, I think, 12 horses come through the Reset program. And it's amazing just to see how much these horses benefit from having this extra time and work that's been put in to showcase and find out what they're good at and what makes them tick. And yeah, I think we've got horses in Tassie, in Sydney, in South Australia and Queensland. Some are eventing and show jumping, and there's a few that are show jumping with young riders in Victoria as well. Some are pleasure horses, and we've got a couple that are as therapy horses as well. And we've also got two thoroughbreds now in the riding for disabled. So it's a really cool program, and I've loved being a part of it. And I take huge pride in following these horses and seeing, you know, where they are. Other things, there's lots of news and educational videos, hints and tips and things like that. So you can get some more information about things you can do with your off the track and what works and what doesn't. So when we look at the thoroughbred, it's important to first really look at what they're bred for. And first and foremost, they're bred to be a racehorse, and their life after racing, you know, they do some amazing things, but we need to see that they're bred for speed and stamina, and we want them to be able to dig deep and find that extra reserve and gallop, and the big heart and everything that we love about them. So a lot of these attributes, you know, we can see as difficulties when the horse is wanting to go forward all the time and they're transitioning from racing to their life after. So it's important to just really remember what they are and what the life that they've gone through. It's a lot of different factors to consider when looking to get your first off the track as a pony club mount. I'm going to run through a lot of the positives, and then I'm going to also talk about some of the challenges and things that you need to consider when deciding if an off the track's the right thing for you. So on the plus side, the thoroughbreds that have been apart from racing, they've been really well handled, and from a young age they've been handled a lot. They've been a weanling, a yearling, they've been broken in, they've had pre-training, and then their race preps to their first, you know, trials and races. So generally, a lot of these horses, they've been under saddle for quite a while. They've been exposed to big atmospheres. They've been transported a lot. They might have been on treadmills or walkers. They've been swimming. Some have been on the beach. Some are hacked out. Some have been schooled over fences. And then also the basics, like they've been shod. They've had their teeth done. They've been vaccinated. They're used to being saddled and all those sort of things. Another of the plus sides is the purchase price of most off-the-track thoroughbreds is something that's achievable to a lot of people, and it is a fraction of the cost of what they are as a yearling. So, yeah, there's a lot of pluses about the off-track thoroughbred, and some of the things that we need to be aware of and the things that can be challenging. Thoroughbreds are used to company. So when they're worked, when they're transported, they're always with their friends and they like other horses. And some will cope better than others when they're moved to a different style of life. And some thoroughbreds, they cope really well, and some always like their friends around. So this is part of the assessment, and when you look to take one on, you need to work out if the way they behave is something you can work with, or if it isn't. Horses that have raced, and particularly those that have raced for quite a while, they might have some wear and tear on their body, on their joints. They might have other injuries. They could have bone chips or ligament or tendon damage. Some have had wind operations, just general muscle soreness, ulcers, gastric ulcers, and horses being girthy is quite common, just given to the nature of the feed that they're on and the way that they're exercised. So most of these things are treatable, and if you know what you're dealing with, if you know the tendon injury and you can rehab it, like it's best to get all the information possible and work out, you know, what you can do and give the horse the best chance of being sound. Some horses will not be sound when they retire from racing, and it's best to know all that just early on and look at other options. If you can find, you know, there can be options for them in non-riding sort of futures. So that's sort of with their body, but mentally horses can also have vices. A lot of them do windsuck, or they could weave, they can pace the fence lines. They've often been in cross ties a lot of the time. So when we first tie them to a hitching rail, some people find they might pull back, if they might get a bit of separation anxiety. These are all things that can be common, but we find we can work with. Other things to sort of think of is the gear that they've been ridden in. They've generally been in a track pad. The riding, they haven't had someone sitting heavy on their back a lot of the time, or with a lot of leg on. The bridles, they've had a ring bit, so yeah, so we like to keep the bits sort of similar to that. And also they might not have had a noseband, or yeah, they probably haven't been asked to stand still a lot when mounted and things like that. So these are all things to consider. And so you're not too surprised about when you do get your first off the track. So we really encourage Racing Vic's set up an acknowledged retrainer program, as I touched on before. And yeah, when you're looking to get your first off the track, there are some cheap or free horses on Facebook, but we really want to encourage people to look to these retrainers and look to get as much research as possible, so you've got the best chance of getting a good match. So now I'm going to talk a bit about what we do when we get a new off the track. And everyone can do things slightly differently, but this is the basis that we operate within. So generally a trainer will call us and a horse is going to retire. So this is for a horse that's just come out of full racing. And so we'll ask a bit about the horse. We can do a lot of the background check online. So you can look up the stud book, you'll get their breeding history, you can look up their racing history. And this will have a lot of information about how many races they had, any gear changes, any embargoes that have been in place, any long spells they might have had, which could indicate different injuries. So there's plenty of information that can be found online. Then we try to get any vet reports, particularly most recent vet reports with injuries or issues. So yeah, this is all part of the assessment before we've even seen the horse. So when the horse arrives, we assess them as they come off the truck. They go into a yard and we just let them settle down for a bit. So a horse that has been in full race work we like to give a spell. Sort of rule of thumb is about 3 months, but it can vary. A horse that's had a really long racing career or has an injury might require a longer spell. And then some horses that have just had a short prep, or, you know, they haven't been in racing for as long, might not need as long. They might be right to keep riding, or they might only need a few weeks. In that first week or two, the horse has come off a really high grain and they're often a bit overwhelmed. And we like to give them a couple of rides before we tip them out to spell. It gives us a good idea of how they're going to be. And we find that they can be a bit quieter, and they can give the false sense that they might be a lot quieter than they are. So this is why we do really encourage the spelling as part of the assessment, because the horse will go out. It's a bit like a holiday for them. They get weaned off the grain, and they can decompress with their brain a little bit, and it's very important. So yeah, in this first week, we'll get their teeth done. We'll get them vaccinated, drenched. We have a couple of rides and just we'll lunge them, check their paces, soundness, all things like that. And then we'll take their shoes off and tip them out for a while. So regarding to feeding, we're an ambassador for Barrastock, and we love the Barrastock feed. We use Breed and Grow. That's our staple feed for everything. And it is a super feed for thoroughbreds. It's low in starch, it doesn't hot them up. And it's good for a lot of things that we find for spellers, as well as when they come back into retraining. So feeding thoroughbreds doesn't have to be super complicated. Reach out to a local feed rep or a professional. Don't take nutritional advice from people that aren't nutritionists. But look, good quality hay and pasture, ad lib access to that, as well as an all-inclusive pellet like all the feed companies do, is a really good start. So they will go through a bit of a funny period when they let down, and they're not going to look like they did the day they arrived as a racehorse. So don't be too distressed about that. That is normal, and don't feel the need to feed the pants off them and make them look amazing and like they're ready to go in the show ring, because you don't want them too full of themselves until you really get to know them. So when we bring them back into work, we'll put some gear on. I personally like to use a jump saddle. Everyone's slightly different. We'll put a good pad under the saddle. We use bits that are similar to what they've been ridden in, which is the ring bit. So there's a winning tongue plate or a bomber lockup bit that sort of emulates the ring bit. That's a really great one we like to start them in. We've also got FM and D cheek bits or a rubber bit. So I find one of those 5 is generally will work on most thoroughbreds. We always use a neck strap, and yeah, we like to always lunge them before we get on, and we want them to feel the saddle. We want them to generally trot and canter both ways and stretch out. The saddle will feel different on their back if they've had a bit of a spell. Their muscles, they've changed a little bit. So if they're going to jump around a bit, we want them to do that on the lunge first. We'll also often hand walk them around the arena and just let them see the spooky log and see all the different things that are around. I like to long rein them, particularly if we don't know a lot of their ridden history, which some of them come in with. And then we're ready for the first ride. So first ride, always have someone with you, either on a lead pony or on the ground. If you can be in a round yard or an enclosed area. Yeah, and we like to we let them know we're up there. Before we get on, we lean over them, let them feel our weight, and then we'll hop on and go forward. Remember that thoroughbreds are always forward moving. They've often had jockeys legged on, so don't make a huge deal about them standing still. And yeah, we'll often walk them around. We'll get a feel pretty quick, and yeah, we keep the rides short and sweet. We generally have another horse in the arena. We won't take a horse out on their own and put them in a stressy kind of situation. So at the start, we probably keep the rides to about 20 minutes and make sure that we don't overload these horses. They're generally really quick thinking, and they want to please. So make sure the questions are really simple and be big on the praise. So just remember that these thoroughbreds are learning a new subject. If they've been a racehorse for 4 years, they've been learning that for 4 years. So this is all quite foreign to them. So be patient and just keep the questions simple and big praise. And that's good for you and your horse. They want to win. They want you to be happy with them, and it'll really help you and you set up a good foundation with your horse. So next, with our kind of assessment, when we feel comfortable, we'll start giving little hacks out with another horse. Again, they like company, so we'll just go a little bit up the drive, and then the next day we might go a little bit further and things like that. Once we feel a little bit more comfortable with them, we'll take them out on their own. And it is worth noting that not every horse that we have through our programs are going to suit trail riding out on their own. And so this is something, yeah, some of them, they like to be with friends, and some of them are always going to be a bit hot when we hack them out. So they all have very different personalities. So when you're looking to go your first day out, we like to take all our horses out as part of our assessment. Think of somewhere low key. We like to go to a friend's place that might have an arena, or also the local pony clubs are good, somewhere with a yard so that you can get your horse off and they're not tied to the float in a big open paddock. Set yourself up for a win, basically. So go on a nice day. Don't go when it's hailing and wind's coming in sideways and things like that. So yeah, so now we're going to talk a little bit about how you can help the horses in the transition to life at Pony Club. So looking towards your first rally, you want to have got to know your horse pretty well and done a bit at home. You don't want to really pick up the horse on the Friday and be heading off to Pony Club on the Sunday. And if you are doing that, it would be great if you could just leave the horse in the yard and let it hang out there for the day. So don't make everything too hard, and again, set yourself up for a win. So lots of handling and getting to know your horse and putting those positive experiences in the bank for both of you. And yeah, you want to be thinking really long term this process is, and if you build up a good foundation and a good partnership early on, you've got years and years of having a really great horse and doing lots of cool stuff. So with your yeah, it does come down to a lot of strategies. So when you first get to Pony Club, similar kind of things to what we do at home with our horses. You want to take them off the float. You want to let them walk around and just get an idea of where they are and realize that they're not at the races. Make sure you tell your DC or other riders or instructors that you've got a new off the track, and it's just so people are aware that, you know, you're not to put too much pressure on, and that yeah, that just look for the small wins. Don't expect to achieve absolutely everything in your first Pony Club rally. That will all come. Tune into your horse. So hopefully by the time you get to Pony Club, you know your horse a bit, and you know, if you feel that they're getting overloaded and a little bit overwhelmed, speak up and don't keep attempting an exercise if you feel that your horse doesn't understand or is getting anxious, and if your horse just needs a little bit of time away. Same things again, when you're going, always have someone with you to load, unload, have a safe place to lunge and mount, have realistic expectations. Yeah, the one thing that we love so much about the thoroughbreds is they're willing, and they just want to go forward. And they always want to go forward. So don't punish this. And again, yeah, gear check. And at the start of your lesson, when you're chatting with the instructor, you might need to walk around instead of standing still in the lineup. And you'll get there eventually, but you probably don't want to instill these lessons early on. So really pick your battles. Appreciate the wins. Be big on your praise. So I suppose, yeah, we want to sort of say that when you get an off the track thoroughbred, you are continuing with the training generally. And if they have been through a retrainer, they might have been there for 12 weeks, they might have been there for 6 months, but it's still just a small portion of their life, and they still generally need more education. So it's a hugely rewarding process, and if you approach it with the right mindset and realize that there's going to be challenges, and these horses aren't robots, and there are a huge amount of positive attributes that come with an off the track thoroughbred, but there are also going to be challenges. So you will have vet bills. You will have days that are frustrating, like any horse, but you can have some really, really rewarding things to come from having a thoroughbred. So yeah, congratulations, enjoy the ride. I suppose, Kathleen, did you want to open up for some questions? Or
Most definitely. Let's have a look. I know a couple of people put their hand up, so I'll just have a look to see who those people were. Lisa. So Lisa, did you have a question? I'll let you should be able to unmute and ask Lou a question if you still have one. So you just have to press your unmute button, Lisa. And I'll check the Q&A. Okay, so we do have some questions in the Q&A. So if anyone does have any other questions they want to add, just pop it in the Q&A. So this one's from an anonymous attendee. They've asked can you see who has put themselves as a full circle contact against a horse you have claimed on the off the track community? That's a really good question.
That's a very good question. And I don't know if I know the answer to that. I know I can go into my own off the track platform and see all the horses I'm a full circle contact to. But that might be a question for the Racing Vic team.
Yes, we might have to
we'll definitely find out, because that's good. That's
a really good question. And then another question was, hi, I've just had a look at the website. This is from Sarah, but I can't claim out off the track. I'm assuming that's because the previous owners have claimed her. Is there a way to correct that? So can Sarah claim the horse if it's been claimed previously?
I think so. Sometimes when I go in to claim an off-the-track horse, some older horses or international horses, sometimes they don't come up, or horses that haven't been named, or there can be a few glitches, but I'm pretty sure you can email Stella at Off the Track, and as long as you have the brands, I think they can generally find any horse and they'll be able to sort it out for you.
Yeah, yeah. The team at the Off the Track community. So if you're in the community, Sarah, you could make contact with someone in the team, but I can share contact out to everybody who's come in when I send the recording out, and then anyone can touch base with the Off the Track team and get their questions answered. I think that would be helpful. Another question, when my off the track gets overwhelmed by all the horses in a warm-up ring, he tends to hold himself behind the vertical, even if I completely let go of his reins. Do you have any advice?
Oh, that's a tough one, and I've had horses that do just this. And the warm-up ring is a really overwhelming place for a lot of thoroughbreds, and a lot of thoroughbreds can be quite horse-shy, particularly the horses coming towards them. And my top thoroughbred that's nearly 18, he's still panics and tries to jump out of the ring if a horse comes near him, so he hasn't grown out of it. Look, there's not a huge amount you can do. I think you've just got to manage yourself in the warm-up the best you can. Yeah, it depends if you can warm up somewhere separately. If you're show jumping and you have to be in at a certain time, I often try to manage and get there at the start or the end, or yeah, if you just try to manage what you can the best way possible, I suppose. Don't know if that's really answered your question or not.
Thank you, Lou. Another question, how many trainers are you engaged with in obtaining these beautiful animals? So I think how many racehorse trainers do you have connection?
Quite a few, and some are quite small. Some might only have a couple of horses in training, and some are larger. We do have a lot to do with the horses in Darwin and Alice Springs. And we've received quite a few of the horses. They've often been bred and raised in Victoria, then they go up there. Yeah, we have different trainers all around, I suppose. There's probably 25 or 30 that we deal with a lot, but sometimes we might just get approached yeah, by someone we haven't dealt with before, or sometimes we're approached by the owners, like a syndicate owner or a part owner might get in touch with us as well. So yeah, there's lots of different ways it can be done.
Excellent. Next question from Bev. What do you find the best supplement to give for stomach ulcers?
Oh, that's a complex issue. There are a lot of terrific supplements. We operate, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love to have every horse that comes through scoped and treated and scoped again. And hopefully someday in the future, that's something that every horse off the track will have. But there's also different management things. The feed that we use, the Barrastock Breed and Grow, it's really good for the stomach of the horses and preventing gastric ulcers. Also, just the way their stomachs operate, we like to feed them when they come up before they're worked, like to feed them lucin is a really good thing. It helps settle their stomach and prevent the acid sloshing around. So, and then obviously the vet paste omeprazole, I always really struggle saying that word, but I found that to be the best. There are a lot of different supplements, but I find that's the best to actually treat ulcers. But yeah, it is a costly process, but beneficial to get a horse scoped, find out what you're dealing with, treat the ulcers, and then often get scoped again to see if they need any more or if that treatment's worked.
Perfect. And the next question was about ulcer management tips, which you gave some really good tips there. So thank you. The next question is it generally better to get a younger off the track horse rather than one that's retired quite late?
Oh no, it's varied. We had a really cool off the track called Go One Better, and he retired at 10. He'd had 72 starts. And I figure if they've raced that long and they're still sound, they're generally pretty sound and they know how to look out for themselves. So we get this a lot, and we get a lot of people giving us their wish list. And that horse must be 4, and it must be this color, and it must have this white sock and this blades. And I think you can limit yourself and miss out on a lot of really good horses. Obviously, horses with a lengthy racing career will have some wear and tear, and that's to be expected. But also some young horses can have, they can have injuries too. So I think unless you're looking, you're seriously looking at FEI eventing and going star classes, then you probably don't want a 10-year-old horse that's retired at that age, just because of the time you're going to need to get the horse there. But a lot of the older horses that we see that don't get picked up because at 7 or 8 they're too old, really just have so much, left to kind of do. So don't shy away from the age would be my advice. And also some older horses are still sound and doing amazing things. We bought my husband a 15-year-old schoolmaster, and he has a bit of wear and tear, but for what we needed for him, he is priceless. Like it's the best I've ever done. So I think finding out what is suitable in a horse and what you need for the riders, what they want to do and realistically achieve, that's more important.
Great answer. Thank you. Narelle said that she had an off the track when she was 20, took a lot of training and perseverance to get him right, but she finally made 2 Barrow Horse of the Year shows back in the 90s. So Narelle has a great memory with an off the track horse. Thank you, Narelle. Carly says, we're looking for a horse for my niece who is 10 with 2 years riding experience in twice weekly riders without horses program. Are an off the track something we can still look at, or more for experienced riders? We're getting mixed messages from different people.
Right. My daughter's 11. She's not a big 11-year-old, but she's a couple of years off being on and off the track. Obviously, there are exceptions, and there are some thoroughbreds that young children have ridden and can ride safely, but I would advise against it. We need to remember that these horses, they're bred to, they're race horses, and they have a flight instinct, and and they can react. So I would wait a couple of years would be my advice. But again, there are the exceptions to the norm. So if you are looking to get an off the track for a young rider, you'd want to make sure that it's had a lot of experience and that you really understand the horse and know that it's going to be safe. But my advice would be no.
Is that where the retrainers come in? Because you guys spend a lot of time with the horse, and would you, if someone come to look at a horse and you found that they were unsuitable, you would obviously give them that advice? And
definitely. But look, it wouldn't come to the point of them coming out, because when anyone gets in contact with us, I'll ask a lot of questions and we'll be very honest about the horse, because as much as you as a rider are looking to find your perfect horse, we really want our horses to find their perfect person. So if we don't think it's right for any reason, then we'll tell you, because we want the best. We all want the best thing for everyone. So when you're looking to get a horse, and I always recommend send some video footage of your riding. It doesn't have to be flash. It doesn't have to be long. But this can help us assess a horse and rider suitability, and provide as much information about your riding experience, and also the support you've got around you if you're in a family that's not horsey, or if you've got an auntie that can help you that is, where you live, how it's set up, if the horse is going to have horses all around it, or if they're just going to be in a paddock on their own, or maybe they can see a goat. Like, any of this information helpful. So, yeah.
Excellent. Stephanie asks, she said she would love to start and become an off-the-track retrainer, but she does not have her own place. Is there specific places that provide grounds to do this, or can she join in with other retrainers? I guess, what's the pathway to becoming a retrainer?
Yeah, look, it's great that you're keen. It's not the most lucrative gig. I think it is tough for those that are renting properties to do it. But that is always an option. Or I think another good option could be to look for some retrainers that are in your area and see if you could go and help them for a little bit and get some experience working with someone else before you go out and do it on your own, or they might be able to work in with you. But it is really helpful to have some facilities. You need yards and some sort of enclosed area, just for safety and for all the assessments. So, yeah, probably to look who's close by and chat to them. And then obviously the next step to apply is to go to the Off the Track website, and I think there's an application process, and the girls at the Off the Track will come out and watch you ride and look at your property, and I think have a look at the off the track horses that you have ridden and done, and then go from there.
Excellent. Next question is, do you find off the track thoroughbreds have more soundness issues than other breeds, as they have had more wear and tear on their bodies?
Yeah, look, all horses can have soundness issues, as we all know, and I think that is probably a good question. And a lot of the off the track horses can have soundness issues. Yes. A lot of these issues, they might retire with soundness problems, but they can benefit from spelling, and sometimes the life after racing is way less impact and stressful as they had as the work they're in when they're racehorses. So some of them can still suit, but yeah, that there always are the problems. So it's important to know what you're getting, and not be naive and think that every horse is going to retire 100% sound with squeaky clean x-rays and vet reports.
Excellent. Clea has a young off the track. She says he is a dream under saddle, but has a bit of attitude and is quite pushy on the ground. Do you have any recommendations or strategies on how to improve his manners? That would be awesome.
Well, it's good that he's great under saddle. So that's a terrific start. Just the same things, just be consistent and be firm, and try to put yourself in situations that he can't get away with things. He might have got away with things in his life as a racehorse, so you've got to sort of reset those pathways in his brain. You know, some tricky horses where we'll lead in a rearing bit, like a ring bit, and things like that. But yeah, there are some people find the hides hoods. We see a lot of the horses racing in them. That can help. That's probably a little bit more under saddle. But yeah, just be consistent and try to set up what you're doing so that there's the best chance for a win, I guess.
Excellent. And our next question is, what do you recommend to keep an off the track sound after a long life of racing?
Oh, all of our horses that we jump an event are on Pentazan or like a joint supplement, Pentazan and Foresight. Some of them are on both. There's different sorts of supplements, and everyone has their different opinion, but like any supplement is good, a good start. So, and keeping them fit. So, yeah, walking them on hard ground and hacking out, they're like us. If we get old and we keep doing things, we stay sounder than if we don't. So some of the older horses, yeah, we do put more work into just hacking out, lots of walking on hard surfaces, get their bones hard, get their tendons hard. Fitness, I think, is a big thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Narelle says, ages nothing when getting one off the track. Look at Nature Strip, who is straight off the track and is now show jumping. And he retired at 9 years of age. I think he's here show jumping with Kathy O'Hara. I think maybe I saw him.
Yes, I think.
Yeah. I think I did see something. Narelle might have seen the same thing. Bev has said she's onto her third off the track horse, and she's had all different personalities, and they have been suited different disciplines. She's found them very versatile. Shelley, when purchasing or getting an off the track from a racehorse trainer, are they all required to provide paperwork for you to sign?
Good question, because we get asked this a lot. The short answer is no. So because a lot of people might have experience with EFA or EA horses when you have their papers and you sign them over with their registration. But with thoroughbreds, their racing papers are only signed over if they're going to stay racing. So when they retire from racing, then they go to their new home, and ideally they're registered through one of these off-the-track platforms, and that way the horses then, you can look them up and you'll see on the website, on their racing history, they're retired, and then they'll be linked up with their microchip and their brands and all their details on the platform. So some trainers do, like I have a few, or I'll have their foal registration or their papers, but generally if they've retired from racing, if they're going to be sold on as a racing prospect, it's a much higher price as well. So they generally don't pass on the papers.
Great. Next question is about this rider has, it looks like she's done some pole work with her off the track, and she'd like some advice on doing some grid work.
Yeah, cool.
Is that a good idea?
The grids can be great. I find some thoroughbreds, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And getting thoroughbreds jumping is something I love doing, and it's what we specialize in. So I could talk about this for ages. They're all different, but I often find when we start with the pole, it's really insightful to see how a horse walks over that first pole. And the horses that look at it and they're careful and they know where their feet are, that's a great sign. Some of them might fall over it a few times but turn out to be good jumpers. But those first, the first of what we see with the horse, I find, is super. So we'll start with poles. We might trot and pop. We never normally canter. We'll just trot up, pop over some little crosses. Some horses take to this well. Some of them aren't sure of it, or if they have a rail down or they knock the fence, they might panic. And then we find it's really great for them to go out and walk and trot over really small logs. So we've got a succession of quite small logs up to some bigger ones, and we find they learn to jump over natural objects a lot better than they will over show jumps. So that's normally what we do. Then we might come in and then we'll gradually set up quite basic grids. And we might have a pole to a stride to a small fence. Some horses will go through and just do grids all day, and some of them might go through once and the next time they'll go through really fast, or they will tell you if they're not going to cope. So if it's not working, often I'll set up a grid and think, oh, we're going to do some grids with this horse today. Generally with a horse that's been in training for quite a while, I don't do them early on. And we might go down once and just say, no, that's not yet. That's not for this horse just yet. So I think keep it simple. I also love to have poles down as like a channel poles. So you sort of go through them on the way to the fence, and then you'll have a little jump, and then sometimes two poles after it. They can be a fair way out, so it's not really narrow, but that's great to keep the horse straight. And that's a really great little exercise. You can just have a couple of little jumps set up. If you've got extra poles, put them as a little channel to lead you in and out. And just keep it really simple. And if they do get hot, you just walk, bring it down, let them decompress, and then trot and pop a few more, and then gradually build it up. Horses that are started this way are going to have a much better foundation for jumping than if they sort of jumping out of fear and starting to rush, and those problems once horses do start doing that, it is much harder to get. You can get them out of it, but it's avoidance is the best measure here.
Great answers. Thank you. Do you recommend a vet check on all off-the-track thoroughbreds before purchasing, even if they are cheap?
Look, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of horses at the moment, the price of the vet check is more than the horse in the current market. So we recommend everyone that comes to look at a horse, we say, yep, you're welcome to get a vet check. And one of the positives with thoroughbreds and that they've been through racing is their eyes have been checked, their heart's always checked. A lot of basic things like that, they've been checked a lot of times. Flexion tests and things like that, they're tricky, and a lot of horses, it's controversial. Some horses are quite sensitive and they will react. Some have different thresholds to pain. But yeah, we do recommend vet checks. I think it is a good thing. It's good to know. And I've purchased horses that have, we've known the problems. The schoolmaster I got from my husband is a prime example. His vet check probably didn't look great to most people, but we knew that it was things that we could manage, and we probably weren't going to go to the Olympics. So that horse suited. So knowing what you've got, and management, like a lot of good vets will say, we recommend putting it on a joint supplement, or we recommend this. So vet checks are good, but they can also sort of freak people out a bit because there'll always be things that come up.
Excellent. Next question from Deb. What kind of feed routine, how many feeds a day, etc., would a thoroughbred horse be on when it's still racing? And what period of time or feed routine would you recommend when letting them down in their new home as a pony club mount?
Yeah, great question. Obviously, all stables and trainers will have slightly different feed regimes and things like that, but it is a very high grain, high energy diet, and they'll be fed a couple of times a day. So when we get them, if they are light, and we're feeding them for weight gain, obviously they'll get more feeds. I mean, we have had horses come in quite light condition through RSPCA and Racing Vic programs, and they've been fed lots of little feeds often. But for your standard horse that's just a bit light on and it's just finished racing, we'll give a couple of feeds a day. Most people are quite aghast because my feed is very simple. They have a lot of hay and they have pellets. We don't actually feed chaff. Horses that need weight gain off, sometimes I'll boil barley or feed different versions of the hydrolyzed pellet, but we just love those pellets because they've got everything in it. We know what they are. It's all mixed up. There's less risk of problems. So our horses get one evening feed. Routine is good. So always feed them the same time of day and things like that.
Very good, thank you. I think that's it for our questions. We have had some wonderful questions from our audience. And so I think that's it with our questions. So that means that it's time to announce our lucky door prize winner this evening. So our winner of the Off the Track prize pack is Taylor Turi. So Taylor, we will get your details through the Zoom registration and post out to you your prize pack. So I hope that you love it, and I'm sure that you will. So if there are no more questions, I just wanted to say a big thank you to yourself, Lou, for sharing your amazing wealth of knowledge, all those tips and ideas that will no doubt help everyone have a successful partnership if they have an off the track or acquire one in the future. We at Pony Club Victoria are very grateful that you've come in and shared all your knowledge, and also thankful to Racing Victoria's Off the Track program, who have sponsored the presentation this evening, and to the off the track team, Tracy and Mel. Thank you, and thank you, Lou. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, look, it's been my pleasure, and I feel like there's loads of things I haven't talked about. And so if anyone does want to reach out directly, like I'm always happy to talk all things off the track. And yeah, I think they've got a really cool place in Pony Club. So love seeing them out there.
Excellent. If anybody does want to contact Lou, then you can send an email to Pony Club Victoria at the office at ponyclubvic.org.au email, and we will forward it to Louise for her follow-up. But Pony Club Victoria will has recorded this, and this recording will be sent out and be uploaded onto the Off the Track website, and we'll also follow up on those questions that we didn't have the answer to, and let everybody know. So thank you, everybody, and we hope you have a good night, and thank you, Lou.
No worries. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.